Hello everybody. So, a baby is born. This is Sebastian. And obviously this isn't Despina's baby, so if you have been watching these videos, then we have another baby that's due to be born. But this little one, we were waiting for a very long time as well, weren't we?
Yeah.
And this is Sebastian and this is Chloe. And actually, Chloe is another, like, you're probably one of my first yoga students, aren't you? We kind of worked out 2005, like this area.
Yeah,
it's been
2005.
a long time.
Yeah, quite a long time.
Yeah. And I only found out today she's 39. 39! No idea! That's only a year younger than me. Yeah. So, you know, we're dealing here with a natural pregnancy and a natural birth.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, what would be deemed, I mean, sorry to say this, but you're apparently an older mum. You're 39, which is ridiculous, really, as far as I understand. But this is a classic example of what I mean in terms of vitality over age, how important vitality and vibrancy are. And all the time that I've known Chloe has always been very healthy, you know, in terms of what sort of standard health would be. Very active. She's a very highly skilled, what is it, hockey player?
Yeah.
So how many times a week were you?
I was training, so I'd be playing 3 times a week, sometimes 2 times a week, but yeah.
Yeah. So I've always had a very fit woman coming to my yoga classes that would come to the yoga, which is the strongest class I offer to chill out. And for me, like, once, you know, I think I met you before you even got together with Dan, is that right? Or
yes, it would have been, yeah.
Before you got together with Dan, before you married Dan, before you thought about having a baby, and then before you were challenged with having a baby, and then you came to the Conceive with Ease course. So for those who don't know me, I'm Rosanna, founder of Rosy Glow and Enjoy Yoga, and I'm a fertility specialist. I'm just doing these videos to really support those of you who have been challenged with the journey of becoming parents, to kind of understand the aspects around it that will support you to move through the challenge into the success. You're interested, aren't you? So this is a little starseed baby, okay? And I say this about these babies because if you look at the bigger picture, I know for a very long time this planet has been housing all souls to come along. But at the moment, what I'm seeing happening from an energetic point of view is that only high frequency souls are wanting to come to this planet. So those are souls with an intention. They're evolved souls, and they're here with an intention. They're coming to be able to restore balance on this planet. And that's the woo-woo bit, okay? But what that actually means in practical terms is it's requiring parents to raise their game, to get healthier, happier, and to learn more about what that actually means, because often what we've been taught to believe it means is actually quite different to what it is. And I'll give you the example, you know, we've got a fit lady here, but what I kept seeing when she would be coming to the yoga classes was an overactive nervous system. You remember I used to say to you, your eyes were really low. And that for me was probably the biggest thing that needed to shift for you, like your nervous system to calm down. And you said a whole load of things off camera that I just want to pass on to you to kind of talk about, because we were asking the question, you know, what do you feel it took? What took you from not being able to conceive to this little one?
Conceiving, yeah.
And once you were pregnant, that was it. We didn't have any miscarriages or any issues, right?
No, we had no. It was a straightforward pregnancy. I actually really enjoyed being pregnant. So, yeah, it was good.
She did her homework. I might actually try and bring the camera in a little bit, but she did her homework, and by that I mean she did the prep work. So there was quite a lot. Hey Emma, Rebecca, hey Michael, lovely to see you all. Let's just bring you in so you can meet Sebastian, because he's just so yummy. I'm Chloe. Hello. So yeah, I mean, you mentioned a few things. So do you want to? We are going to do a little series, to be honest, because now you're a mum, you've realised there's a whole load of things that you wish other mums knew.
Yeah. That
you found out. And
on the journey of being pregnant and giving birth, and then post-birth as well. I think there's a lot of things that would be very helpful for other pregnant women or looking to get pregnant. So
to know. So we're going to get there. But for now, what do you think made the biggest difference for you? What were the things that really needed to shift? As a woman with no known reason why you weren't getting... You didn't have any gynecological stuff?
No, I had no issues. So it took us a little bit of time to... I think over 2 years, I think it was about. And I would say the first year was really naive. Didn't really know much about conceiving, what I needed to do or anything like that. So I was not very knowledgeable, I would say. And for some people it's quite easy, but also I think you need to be ready as well, in terms of your mindset, and as individually but also as a couple. So me and Dan being ready, and then being ready to invite him into our family and being prepared for that. But also, you know, I needed to be mentally ready as well, physically and as well, health-wise.
Hey. Hey. Sorry, we will talk to the camera. Yeah, so you kind of had to, so for someone who's a high level of fitness, you needed to calm your nervous system down a bit, because anyone who does endurance sports, you know, again, there's an adrenaline lift. So again, this is activating the sympathetic nervous system, and although your rest pulse rate might be lower, it's that excitement for that adrenaline and that kind of hit, if you like, the endorphin hit, which, working with a fertility client of mine at the moment who was, you know, really into extreme exercise, spinning, needed that endorphin hit to get over her stress. In the working with her, I've kind of explained to her that there needs to be a difference in terms of what type of exercise you do at different stages of your cycle. And we've brought in a lot more yoga, and we've brought in a lot more kind of still feeling like she's working, but working her energy in a different way rather than just needing to sweat it out to feel better. And what's come out of this is that she has noticed the days that she actually does a yoga practice over going spinning or doing anything else, she wakes up without having the endless list of to-dos on her mind, and actually she feels positive when she wakes up. And this is the difference between exercise just to get rid of stress and actually using whatever physical activity you get involved in, which could be sex, you know, it could be making love, it could be yoga. It's something that you're using to help you turn inwards, to connect with your inner self and with your partner once you're connecting with them. But you did the Conceive with, you've been trying, I don't know that word, but it implies that it's difficult. And I think you said actually that you had the belief that it would just be easy, so it was quite a shock for you that it wasn't.
Yeah, because, you know, you hear, for a woman it's a natural thing to give birth, so you just think, oh well, if you're trying with your husband, then it's going to happen, right? But it's not as straightforward as that. There's a lot of things that you need to think about, such as nutrition, exercise. I really slowed down because I was playing hockey 3 times a week, and hockey was very busy in the winter because it's a winter league really game, and so in the summer I just didn't do any hockey at all. I didn't do any of the summer games, and I did yoga and mainly yoga. I don't think I did any other exercise than that. So I really, really slowed down, and then I found out that I was pregnant with him late September. So yeah,
it's the summer that did it. The summer of love. And I think you were. I mean, this is the thing though, because sometimes we can misunderstand this idea that yes, there is a depth of work that needs to be done for us each to address our own personal blocks to conceiving, if there is an issue with that, if it's not happening easily. But you don't have to be perfect, and I think this is the key, is like when I work with clients, I have to find the key blocks that are there for them, that are the issue. And when we were working together, it was very clear, it was calm your nervous system down, and also look beyond conception to what this being a mother means, and what it's going to mean for your relationship with your partner. What is it going to mean in terms of how you currently deal with issues, and whether you back down or whether you step up, and how you deal with conflict, because, you know, we can have very different ideas, which you're discovering, about
how to bring up a child.
And the key decisions you have to make, including, you know, how you're going to treat health issues, vaccines, all that kind of thing, which I have some pretty intense opinions about. But it's more about as you discover what you discover, and then still having a difference of opinion, and how you resolve that as a couple. We talk about something called ghosts in the nursery, which is really all to do with the impact of how we were brought up, how that impacts how we are going to bring our children up. And essentially, if we have a lot of unprocessed emotion, fear, anxiety, trauma from our early life, then we're more likely to be easily programmed by fear tactics. And that means we want to play it safe. Hey, Bobs. And one of the things that Chloe has done is obviously through the Conceive with Ease program, she also did a lot of deep emotional mental detox. So a lot of fears were kind of released. And we've now set the intention that partners harmonise with our intentions as well, because it can be difficult when you see your beloved is having a fear response and they're kind of wanting to go a certain route because of the fact that that's what they feel will be safe for them, but they're not prepared to look at it deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, what I see with these little ones is they're incredibly sensitive. So whereas another child might be fine on a regular formula, for example, I mean, this baby's breastfed at present, this child might not do well at all with a regular formula and needs an organic formula or goat's milk formula, mm-hmm. or adding more probiotics. And it's being able to kind of be sensitive to that and to find what works for each and every one of these little ones, which you have to become sensitive to yourself. And I think this is what you did, mm-hmm. Chloe. The subtle shifts in you to be able to then notice what is going to work for them. And I've been talking about not over and under stimulating them and reading their cues. And we have a baby here in a relaxed, alert state at the moment because they're kind of engaging and, you know, happy to be here, aren't you? Looking at mommy. And we've got a hand in the mouth, which is kind of like self-soothing, self-regulating. It needs to be allowed to happen.
And he started sucking on his thumb.
So sucking on his thumb, which is great. And again, this is this thing of trusting, understanding what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Yeah.
But I think some of the things you discovered, I mean, you talked about nutrition being really important and not being very well informed about what it meant to try. I mean, I don't like the word try anyway, because trying implies it's difficult, which is talked about so much that even if Chloe had the idea that it would be easy, because this is what women do, all you ever hear in couples is we're trying for a baby. Mm. So trying implies challenge. It's so systemic. It's like milk spots on babies' faces is considered normal by health professionals. But you go and speak to a naturopath or you go and speak to a neurologist, they'll say, that's a baby that is not processing food properly, not digesting what you are eating if you're breastfeeding. So, you know, it might be normal because lots of people have it. Doesn't mean it's normal, right? Mm. So back to the word trying, if you're hearing that all the time, the subconscious programming is that it's difficult. Mm. So that kind of comes in.
That's true. Yeah, and then also stress is another thing as well. And we were in a world of stress.
Super stress. You work in the city, your whole thing was, you're a go-getter, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, really successful woman in the corporate world. Sense of achievement really comes from doing, not being. And yet to conceive, we have to soften. We have to release, relax, you know, soften the womb tissues, be willing to receive. I don't know if I talked about this with Despina, but you know, I felt when I was growing my baby that I had an alien inside of me. I don't know how you felt. But the baby's not the alien, the baby's the hybrid. The placenta is made from the male sperm, the DNA from the male sperm, and that's the alien that we grow inside of us. Most miscarriages are at risk between 10 and 14 weeks, which is when the placenta is taking over from the hormones, the progesterone that's keeping the pregnancy going till that point. Now this is, again, bring it back to the relationship and harmonising with each other. And the idea that, you know, you can be into each other, you can love each other, but there may be unresolved things that are under the surface that you don't really ever talk about because they're the places we just don't go. And they are important to be addressed. And it's, again, not about being perfect, but it's about using methods like breathing and massage and when you're intimate with each other, and just the intention of the way that you communicate with each other is about being able to find resolution, find healing, find softening. Have you got anything you want to add to that?
I don't know if, I think it's definitely important to be working with your partner around that. I think there was a section within the Conceive with Ease which was all around partner, and we did some meditations together, which was quite fun actually.
Did they make you giggle?
And then there were some which is like, that was a bit woo. But it is very important, I think.
It's the thing, you were, let's go back to the original question. So you were trying for how long before you did Conceive with Ease?
So it's probably a year then, because I had I had a miscarriage the previous year. It was very short, but I found out I was pregnant in August, and maybe it was like 3 weeks and then a miscarriage. So I knew I could do it. It was just that I don't think my body was ready. I don't think probably we were ready. So there was a lot of work that needed to be done really to ensure that I was we were both ready mentally and physically.
What did it bring up for you actually? Is there anything specific that you're kind of like, okay?
Well, it's so weird really, because I think I've always wanted to have a child. Obviously I was later in life. I knew I wasn't ready early. Like, definitely didn't want to have children in my 20s, definitely didn't want it in my early 30s, because that was when I was having fun. It was like for us to have fun and be out and be doing things. Not that I'm not saying that it wouldn't be fun with him, but in terms of, you know, going out and on the party scenes and drinking and things like that. And I
never do it.
Not much now. And before, I was very scared about the whole birthing process. Now, when I decided that we wanted to have babies, that didn't bother me at all. So it's definitely a weird journey in that sense. And then, and now I've forgotten what the question was.
It was about when you had the early miscarriage last time. What did you realise you weren't ready for? What was it that kind of came up that you were like, oh, I need to deal with this?
I don't know. There's probably lots of things that really came up. I think probably the biggest thing was being prepared as a couple, and making sure that we're on the same path. I think actually Dan would have been quite happy with just the two of us.
Really?
But he absolutely loves Sebastian. I mean, he wouldn't change it for the world. But I think if we didn't have babies, I think he would have been perfectly happy with life. I don't think it would have.
It was something that came up, wasn't it, that you told me in passing. It was after you'd done the Conceive with Ease course that you were having a conversation together. And it might have even been about sleeping, about disciplining children and sleeping, or there was something that Dan came up with that made you think, oh my God, are we really ready for this or not? And it might have been that he just realised he wasn't ready for it. It's like you said, it was like you kind of go through all the motions and you think, well, this is what we do at this age. You have a baby, and then it becomes more obsessive when you can't have a baby. Like, it seems like it's not happening. Suddenly, all the focus is on that. And what I see is women, like, all they're thinking about is the conceiving. No matter what, I must conceive. Then it's the pregnancy. No matter what, I must be pregnant. No matter what, the birth. And we're never looking at the whole thing. So I remember, because I was at Chloe's birth, and this is the beauty of my work, is that if we're local enough, I can do that support as well. But it was the bit of the baby moving through the cervix that you were really scared of and of holding off on. And it was just like, no, I'm fine here, I'll just keep breathing here. And Dan's going, take her pain away, she's in pain. And I'm going, move the baby down, breathe it out.
Yeah, it was true actually. I was a bit concerned about him coming through.
Yeah.
Well, tearing and coming through, but I had minimal tearing. It was very.
So the fear women have is of the perineum tearing, but we're talking about the baby moving through the cervix. And I want you who haven't had babies yet to think about this and to think whether it makes you go woo or not, because this is in the subconscious. You know, it's there. It's like, I've got to let this being out of my body, and the more I soften, the more I surrender, the more I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, it was fine.
Well, we got there in the end, didn't we? But we were basically
going round and round a bit.
If you can imagine an aeroplane that's waiting to land and is waiting for landing permission, it was kind of like that. It was like, the only way out is through. Right, Dan, let her be in pain. It's fine. This is good. And then for you, it was move it down from there into the birth canal, and then it all happened, and it was amazing, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think with you, the main point I'm kind of interested in is the subconscious blocks, you know, and it was about your family unit getting really comfortable with the idea.
That life is not at the end.
Life's not at the end if you have a baby.
It's at the beginning. But it did take us a lot, as in Dan and I, to work through that, and just to be on the same level, because he was way further down, and then not to make about conceiving the whole thing about your life either, or just being a bit relaxed about it, because you can, you know, once 1 month goes and then the next thing it's like, oh, I'm still not pregnant. It can get a bit kind of frustrating, but letting go of that and releasing all of that and just going with the flow. and then working with your partner, because that is important, because there's be so many conversations that you'll have after the baby arrives, and being able to deal with that, and have conversations around that, and not arguments, but and coming up with a kind of balanced approach to that as well.
The parental compromise, and what is hard limits and what's not. But it's like and this again is not, you're not going to agree about everything all of the time, but it's about coming to a basic level of we're on the same page, we both want the same thing, and we're going to do what we can to get there. I think what you said is so important, because once you've had 2-3 months of not getting pregnant, the focus is on not getting pregnant. You know? Am I going to get my period this month? And suddenly you're obsessing, and it's like, don't think of a pink elephant. What are you thinking about? Get my point? Anything that you don't want to be focused on, you know, you will focus on, because you're focused on it, because your attention's there. And it's just like, the key is cultivating the relationship. If what you want hasn't come yet, it's because there's more work to do together. With your own inner relationship will reflect your relationship with your partner, and also the way you see the world, because mothers are periscopes that feed information to the little brains that are developing in utero. And my biggest passion at the moment is talking about those first 1,001 days of a baby's life, and that starts from conception. But people like Chloe know that it's actually 3 to 4 months before conception, because it's also the quality of the egg. Are you alright, baby? Do you want mummy now? It's what egg and what sperm, like how are they kind of prepared to survive the environment, the perception of the environment that they're actually going to be born into. So you kind of discovered that although you were healthy and ate pretty damn well, that actually you were quite carb dependent, and it was about shifting the balance of how you were getting your energy. What else did you find?
I also saw acupuncture as well, because Dan and I spoke about, you know, if it doesn't happen around adopting, we were going to do that. And then we also spoke about IVF. Now, IVF is an expensive route, and I think if you can look at other ways, homeopathic ways,
natural ways,
holistic ways, I think that's a much, much better route. Because, well, for us it happened. We did acupuncture with Snow. Hello. And I worked with her for pre-conceiving, once I'd conceived, and then post giving birth to Sebastian as well. So quite a journey with Snow on the acupuncture side.
That's right. You did acupuncture, you were coming to yoga every week, you were following a nutritional program once you understood that was important. You did the Conceive with Ease course. And it wasn't about, I made a video the other day, it wasn't about ticking things off the list. It was recognising that all of these different things that you were doing were contributing to the fact that this was going to be a healthy conception when it happened. And the thing that concerns me the most about people saving their money for IVF, it might be that you need it, but you may well find that by focusing on being healthy all round, you don't need it. And the main thing is that it doesn't come without side effects, both for the mother and the baby. And there are all sorts of increased risks as a result of it, which if you are approaching your fertility journey naturally and looking to balance yourself out naturally before you actually conceive, even if you do go through the IVF route, you minimise the risk factors and maximise your chances of conceiving. So it's do the work first, really. Yeah,
before you go, because you can waste a lot of money through IVF. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get pregnant through the IVF route, and it's an expensive route. So why not look at alternative ways and see how that works for you, and go from there.
At your age, Chloe, the success rate for IVF is less than 20%.
Really?
Yeah, it's about 15%. I think I did a video on Saturday about it, and it's just like it's crazy. Wow. Yeah. And the stress factors around it. And again,
what you have to pump into your body.
Yeah. That's why you have to detox. That's why, I mean, the things that I really bang on about are endocrine disruptive chemicals, and also the bacteria in our gut, so the microbiome, because if you don't actually... thank you, Hope. If you don't actually do the sort of gut health and the... minimising the exposure to toxic chemicals in your environment, then your endocrine system and your nervous system are not working well together. Your hormones need those two systems to be working well together. And that's where, you know, if you also want your child to be regulated well, I talked about this on Saturday, the cardiovascular, nervous system and digestive system all are formed in the first few weeks of life. So by week 5, baby has a heartbeat. That's insane, right? So this is why mum's nervous system has to be calm, because baby's getting all the information about how to sleep, how to breathe, how to eat, how to perceive the world through mum's eyes. And so I asked the question really for you to contemplate is, how safe do you feel in the world? How safe do you feel in yourself? How safe do you feel in your partnership? And, you know, this is why I created the Conceive with Ease program, because it's about addressing all the deeper issues that can actually not just prevent you from being able to conceive easily or naturally, but also it's about the quality of your life. It's about how much stress governs your life and how much you live your life through the eyes of fear, because that's not a great gift. It's not a great legacy to pass on, and they don't need that, you know. Having had my own experience, I think Chloe would say it as well, that learning to see life differently through a different lens.
Yeah, really is helpful.
It just changes your whole worldview. It's not just that you'll end up with a baby at the end of it. It's that you're just so much happier in yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, and you have a calmer baby.
You have a much calmer baby that sleeps and eats well. And you're even looking now at how you're taking your skills that you've... I mean, she's a really, really well qualified woman. What was it you got an award for the other day?
Well, I won a global award at my company. I'm in marketing.
For?
So, it's a it's just for an employee award. So it was globally for marketing.
So your speciality, is this something to do with environmental? You're going in.
No. That's not. That might be some.
No, you do something with improving efficiency.
We transformation. So we work with organisations around transformation. So we work with individuals and teams inside big organisations. I don't personally do that. I just market them.
That's fine.
But it's quite fascinating what you learn around human beings and the blockages human beings have in terms of versus being a manager and a leader, and what a leader the role of a leader is versus a role of a manager, and how you link that all together as well with coaching. So it's bringing that inside of organisations,
which is increasing productivity, and you increase productivity by people being happier.
Yes, it's all around employees being happy, so being and ownership. I can't think of what the word. I've got baby brain as well. That's the problem with having it. If they bring something to inspiration and creativity, and you allow for that, then what that creates inside of the organisation as well, as rather than directing, saying you do this, you do that. Da, da, da.
So I would describe that as womb power, womb wisdom, and what the women who come to me do is they work with unblocking their womb wisdom, because we've got a lot of successful women out there in the corporate world that basically have shut down their feminine principle to survive and to thrive in that environment, which is really results driven. It's about power, it's about prestige, it's about accolades, which there's nothing wrong with all of that, but it's about how you connect your intuitive wisdom, your creativity, which is your sexual energy, your fertile energy, your creative energy are the same thing, and you utilise that. So it's how you harmonise. Again, in my other work I talk about brain and heart resonance, and that it's not about just listening to your heart or just listening to your brain. It's about how you entrain the conditioning to your intuition. And the reason I brought up your work was because it's about, you are now looking at those principles in terms of what's out there for mothers and fat young families, and what isn't, and how we can make the whole, the sort of Netherlands and Iceland have got this amazing way of supporting parents in the first 3 years of life to really have their needs met so that they can really look after their children. And that means extended paternal leave, it means extended paid maternity leave, it means child-centred creches and nurseries and systems of health that are based on a holistic approach to health, integrated formative health, rather than sort of just blanket ways of dealing with public health as we tend to at the moment.
That's a big yawn.
But you're kind of looking at how you're using your business skills and how you could potentially apply them elsewhere. And you know, this whole transformation within the business is phenomenal. It's like yeah, transformation. Like, bring that down to pre-conception. Bring it down to the transformation for yourself and your partnership to be able to then bring this baby in, and that actually conceiving and growing a baby is a byproduct of you getting healthier and happier and wealthier and more centered and grounded and connected to nature, and that's
belief
what it is.
As well. Belief, having the belief that you can actually do it.
You're the second person. That's exactly what Despina said. It's the belief that it's possible.
Yeah.
So,
and just truly believing it. I remember that we had silhouettes of pregnant women around the house, so that I could see it when I woke up. But you know, it was the belief that I will be pregnant and Sebastian will be here.
It's coming. All the stuff that happens in the dark space of non-judgment when no one knows what it is, but it's coming. It's coming. The starseed has come. Yeah. And this is a way of creating safety. It's holding their seat. Yeah. And you feel plugged in, don't you? Yeah. And yes, I think one of the things I talk about a lot in all of my work is ask, desire, believe, receive. And it is the opposite of what we do when we just have our masculine brain on, which is I'll believe it when I see it. What I'm saying is you've got to believe it before you see it.
Yeah.
And that's what these women connect to. But this is why we do the deep diving into your own consciousness, because we all have ghosts in the nursery. We all have traumas from our own childhoods, unmet needs from our mothers and our fathers that get played out in how we show up in the world, and also how we show up in our partnerships. And our children deserve us to have sorted that stuff out before they come along. You know, we don't have to be perfect, we just need to be good enough, but we do need to be aware. They do deserve it. They don't need it dumped on them.
No.
You know, this is what this work is really about, and it is more than just taking care of your physical body, although taking care of your physical body is essential if you're going to do anything else. So, should we leave that one there?
Yes. I think that's... We've covered a lot.
We've covered a lot, and we will do a little series for women who are pregnant or have had their babies already. But if you are interested in finding out more about the Conceive with Ease program, I'll put a link to it. Remember, it's never a waste of time. It's just never a waste of time to do the inner work that I wish everybody did, because the thing I talk about a lot is that we're all traumatised, as I said, and whether you join me with the Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be Me program or Conceive with Ease, you're kind of doing the work, the same work, but from a different angle. And it's a gift to the world, but it's really the gift to yourself, because you get to operate here in a different way, don't you? Yeah, in your brain you feel so much happier, and that's so much nicer than being stressed all the time. So, yeah, any final thoughts?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered a lot in this video.
We're hoping Despina's watching it, because we're going to go into labour.
Yeah, Despina is, well, it's her due date today, so...
No pressure! Right.
And then we'll have another little baby.
We'll have another little baby in the midst, another little starseed. Yeah. Alrighty, so thank you very much, and I hope you found that interesting. I don't think we've got any questions, but if you have got any, then you can let us know. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everyone.